welcome. We appreciate y'all being here. We're going to call to order declaration of a quorum, 7 members present. Welcome to the meeting of College Station Independent School District Board of Trustees. We were elected at large to represent the interests of our community and our state in educating our students. Our mission for our students in this district is success each life, each day, each hour. We adhere to all pertinent laws, policies, and procedures in posting agendas and conducting our meetings. The detailed agenda information was made available to us at least 72 hours in advance. We have all come to this meeting informed and prepared. We've just completed a workshop meeting where we heard reports and discussed much of the information needed to make decisions in either this meeting in upcoming meeting. This is a meeting of the 7 trustees in a public setting rather than a public meeting. As such, public comment is included on the agenda at a specific time and requires us to listen rather than take action so as to abide by the Open Meetings Act. We are pleased that you have taken time this evening to join us. We're very proud of this school district, and we thank you for your interest in and support of our students. That will bring us to item C1. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. This evening, we have some students joining us from Forest Ridge Elementary and South Knoll Elementary. And I would ask that Ms. Cott and Ms. Richter please come forward with our students and introduce these young people that are going to lead us in our pledge and moment of silence.
Good evening. It's so good to see you this evening. So I have 2 fabulous Falcons to introduce to you this evening. So the first one is Miles Platt. He is a 3rd grader at Forest Ridge Elementary. What he likes most about Forest Ridge Elementary is the cafeteria, because the cafeteria always has good food every day. Another of his favorite experiences at Forest Ridge is the SOAR enrichment process that we do once a week. And he loves the gardening work there. So he loves to dig things up, he likes to plant things, and he likes to water them. So, and Miles, his favorite subject is math, and he loves science. He wants to be a zoologist when he grows up. That's one of his other really important things. He also, outside of school, is a ninja warrior. So, and he's going to surf camp. And he loves to work with his dad with his 3D printer. And one of the things that they make is prosthetics for people who need them. And they're working on one now that will allow people to actually work a remote control. That's pretty fabulous. So, Miles Platt. Also, I have with him a UIL champ, Logan Ans. Well, they're both UIL. And Logan is also a 3rd grader at Forest Ridge Elementary, and his favorite subject is, math. So he loves math. He likes really hard math. He wants it to be really hard. And another thing he really loves about Forest Ridge is homework. He wants more homework. So that's very important to him. Outside of school, Logan loves to play chess. In fact, he made his dad learn how to play chess so they could play chess together. He also loves to play with his dog Max, but Max doesn't play chess because he would eat the pawns. So, and my friend Logan wants to be an engineer. Today, he wants to be an engineer because he loves to build things and take them apart and build them again, especially robotics. He wants things to move that don't normally move. So that's Logan Ans.
And I'm Laura Richter. I'm the principal at South Knoll, and I have 2 amazing young ladies to introduce to you tonight. I have Miss Abigail Guillen and Miss Addie Luna. They're both a little perturbed with me because I gave them an extensive interview the other day, and where's my paper?
You left it.
I left it. But I remember what they said to me. I can do it, but they both, I've been reprimanded significantly. Abigail is a first grader, and she, when I asked her what I wanted people to know about her, is that she loves to be a helper, and her favorite thing about South Knoll is just, well, learning. When she grows up, she wants to be a dentist. Abigail, smile for the people. If you notice, Abigail has no teeth currently, so maybe that's her inspiration. And Abigail just has a certain zest for life. You know, one of the best places on earth to spend your birthday as an adult is in elementary school, because elementary age kids get birthdays. Abigail not only sang happy birthday to me on my birthday, but did it in Spanish and added jazz hands during the performance. And so if you ever are feeling down and you need somebody to make you feel good and special, you need to find yourself Abigail Guillen and just talk to her for about 5 minutes, and your whole day will change. Miss Addie Luna is a kindergartner at South Knoll. When I asked her what she wanted everyone to know about her, is that she is smart and fast. So she can run, and she loves it. Your favorite day is like track day when we run at school, right? Yeah. She also loves learning, especially math. And when she grows up, yesterday when I asked her, she wanted to be a principal, and then upon reflection said an illustrator. And then tonight, I was like, I get you. And then tonight, when I asked her what she wanted to be, she said she wants to be my helper, which I'm good with. Because Miss Addie Luna also has a certain zest for life, that she jumps in and does things with just the sweetest spirit, and she is a natural helper. And she also will add jazz hands to pretty much everything she does. And that they both just add that certain special something to everything they do. So I'm very pleased to have them with us tonight.
Good evening. Please stand. Salute. Please join me in this salute to the Texas flag. I meant pledge allegiance.
There you go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Please remain standing. And please join me in the salute to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Please join us for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Okay, guys, stay. We're going to get pictures real quick. Moms, dads, everybody, come on up.
Everybody right here. One more time. Parents, take your time.
Very good. Thank you. Wonderful job. C2 student recognitions. We have a couple of state champion power lifters tonight, Mr. Glenwinkle. And students, when Mr. Glenwinkle calls your name, if you'll come forward, meet me right over here, and then shake hands with board members. And if you'll hold tight, when we're finished, we'll get a picture of everybody, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Martindale, Mr. Horak, members of the board, and guests. It's always my pleasure to introduce students who have done spectacular things in CSISD. A pair of College Station High School powerlifters recently won their respective weight classes at the Class 5A State Powerlifting Championship. The duo led the CSHS girls team to a second-place finish at the meet. Placing in powerlifting is the combined weight successfully lifted in 3 events: the squat, the bench press, and the deadlift. Winning the state championship in the 114-pound division with a combined weight of 785 pounds, Anna Scarborough. Yeah. And with a total combined weight of 1,070 pounds in the 165-pound division, Faith Ham. And also helped me in recognizing the powerlifting coach at College Station High School, Coach Greg Frazier. Let's get a group shot. Board members, get up. There we go. One more time. Thank y'all very much.
All right, that will bring us to item C3. Recognize the artwork there in the back of our boardroom from the kiddos at Forest Ridge Elementary and South Knoll Elementary. So before you leave, or when you have some time, please make sure you take a look at all the artists that we have in our district from those 2 schools. That brings us to item D1, board reports. Who would like to begin?
I'll start for Head Start. We had the application roundup, or Head Start had the application roundup, and they had 225 applicants, and then 191 parents attend that. And then also for the Super Fun, Family Fun, and Field Day, they had 358 parents and family members attend. I'd say that's pretty good.
I can talk about PAC, Personnel Advisory Committee. One of the things that talked about, which has been touched on before, I think, was the issues regarding taxes withholdings, and that being corrected. So those that are impacted are being notified, as it is more of a case-by-case basis. And then salaries came up as well, given the fact dealing with inflation and everything. So unfortunately, we could not give everybody a 7.5% raise at the moment, but it was discussed.
I have a couple things. I don't really need to give an update on, we don't need to give one on SHAC or really the GPA and academic achievement, because you've heard at the workshop and some more coming up on those. But I always like to, to share the good news with the Education Foundation. They continue to work their magic through the spring. It's all about the scholarships right now, and they will be awarding $153,800, new record. Seems like we always like to break a lot of records there with the Education Foundation. That's coming up on May 16th, which will be another fun Education Foundation event. And then I wanted to share one other thing with the board. I know a couple of you guys know about it, but another thing that I did on April 9th is that I am serving as part of the TASB Legislative Advisory Council, which is all part of how the school boards get together and formulate kind of their legislative advisory plan and recommendations that will, for the legislature next year. Started with a grassroots meeting in Huntsville, and then on the 9th, we met in Austin for representatives from all over the state and putting together those items then that we'll all look at when we get together in the fall at our conference, right? So it's kind of just for the first time being a part of that process. So just wanted to share that. I don't think there'll be any surprises about some of the things that are on the list. They're very similar to the list that we as a board put together, school finance, especially under, the situation with inflation that we're having to deal with. But also some items about particularly school finance and the bonds and some of the language that we understand that is maybe misleading as far as bonds go. And then I think another biggie that's very critical right now is teacher recruitment and retention. So that's another. Those are the top 3 on the list that we're talking through. So just wanted to share that with everyone. There'll be another meeting in the summer, and then like I said, it'll come back to at the conference we'll see in September. That's it.
Mr. Martindale, not a committee update, but they had the Taste of Aggieland with the Chamber this past week, and our culinary arts participated, had a great showing, so congratulations to Mr. Ross and Ms. Poe. It was great just to see the confidence in the kids that they were able to put together a meal kind of MasterChef style, like an hour, in front of all those people and then compete. Great opportunity.
Anything else? All right, Mr. Martindale, superintendent update.
Mr. Horak, a lot of information at the workshop earlier at 5 o'clock. First, of course, we had an in-depth presentation regarding our transition to employee health plans for 22-23. We'll have action on that here in a few minutes at our regular meeting, but on off, we went through that process and reflected and decided to opt out of TRS Active Care. It seems as though this is going to absolutely do what we intended and be a benefit for the district and our employees. Also, at workshop earlier, we continued the marathon review of board policy EIC update regarding grade point, but that's been intentional throughout the course of this year. So we're grateful for the work of that committee. Ms. Parkerson shared a lot of information regarding that. And so as the board knows, we anticipate policy and seeking approval of that at the May board meeting. And of course, Ms. Strauss, our CFO, gave us an update on projections for the 22-23 budget. So a lot of things earlier this evening. Also, some work that's occurring that I wanted to mention. The district has engaged with a third party for some polling assistance, and this is as we explore and get community feedback regarding Proposition D, our failed proposition from last November, as we work in making a decision as to whether to recommend for the board to bring that back this November or not. This particular polling system or third party that we're using, of course, they will gauge interest through the polling system, but the way they do it and the questions they ask and the feedback they get will also give us insight as to if the decision is made to move forward, what type of information do we need to make sure that as a district we're communicating to garner support for that proposition on the ballot. So looking forward for that feedback. Anticipate the administration will have that information from them mid-May. So as we get that information, we'll share out in the upcoming month or so with the board. Also, this Saturday, College Station High School, the District Art Show, that's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Mr. Eek says you can't miss it. So make sure and be there. Management Oversight Workshop for the board next Tuesday, April 26th at 12:30. Here, that is, I believe, technology. Also, make sure and mark your calendars, if you haven't already, our employee awards and recognition ceremony is Thursday, May 19th. That will be at 6 p.m. across the street at Grace Bible, Southwood. And graduation dates, yes, we are at that point in the year. College View is Thursday, May 26th. That's at 7 p.m. and that's at Rudder Auditorium. CSHS and A&M Consolidated High School are both Friday, May 27th at Reed Arena. CSHS begins at 4 p.m. and A&M Consolidated begins at 7:30 p.m. It only takes one monsoon for us to move back inside. So, Mr. Horak, that'll do it for Superintendent's report.
All righty. That will bring us to item E, hearing of citizens. I believe I have one. Do I have any others? No. All right. Let me read this and then we will begin that. During this time, public comments are welcome. The Open Meetings Act prevents us from responding to speakers regarding items not on the agenda. Comments related to items on the agenda may be discussed during deliberations on that specific agenda item. Please complete the note card and give it to the executive assistant. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Those needing an interpreter may have up to 6 minutes. Each person has one opportunity at the microphone regardless of minutes used. Unused minutes may not be accrued by another speaker. The executive assistant will time the comments and alert the president when the time has expired. The board asks that those addressing the board refrain from derogatory comments. And our first speaker is Miss Sally Keller.
Good evening, and thank you for your time tonight. I would like to share a concern about the district grading policy that I believe is unfair and unequal and should be immediately considered for change. The part of the policy that is unfair is the final exam exemption policy. My daughter is a freshman taking a junior level course, Algebra 2. It has come to my attention that juniors in the same course can exempt both the fall and spring final, while freshmen and sophomores can exempt only one. This creates an unlevel playing field because students in the same course are not held to the same academic standard. When considering class rank, sophomores and freshmen will be compared to juniors that had a lower standard for the same course. Consider this: if my daughter has a 91 average going into the final and makes an 81 on the final, she would have a B for the course on her transcript. A junior in the same course with a 91 in the course gets to keep their 91 and have an A on their transcript. Two students in the same course should have the same standards. Something similar came up a few years ago with 7th and 8th graders taking high school level courses. They previously were not able to exempt finals, and because it was an unfair playing field, the district changed their policy to allow 7th and 8th graders to have the same exemptions as 9th graders when taking a 9th grade class. I feel the precedent has been set to make this change and that the district should consider something similar with these courses. I believe you can and should meet before finals to consider this change to the exemption policy. I was teaching middle school during the time that middle school parents had this similar concern, and the district reviewed the policy during the school year, accepted it wasn't fair, and changed it. I'm hoping that we could review this policy with a similar, reasonable process in order to make the policy fair for all students in the future. I am asking you to immediately meet to change this policy before it unfairly skews any more students' grades and ranks. Thank you for your time and consideration of this matter, and I look forward to hearing back from you so we can get this resolved. Thank you again for all you do for our community. Your service is appreciated.
Thank you, Ms. Keller. That will bring us to item G, or F, consent agenda. Those items are item G, H2, H3, I2, I3, J2, J3, J4, J5, J6, J7, J8, J9, J10, J11, J12, and K2. Is there any discussion? Any? Not, I will need a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Thomas Hall and a second by Josh Ben. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. That will bring us to item H1, receive a report related to the School Health Advisory Council. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak. Here to present our SHAC annual report and recommendations is our Director of Instruction and Leadership Development, Mr. Jeff Mann.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Martindale, Mr. Horak, Board. It's my pleasure to come to you this evening to give you the School Health Advisory Council Annual Board Report. So this is our agenda. I'm going to touch on these different topics. What is the SHAC, just so that everyone is familiar with, requirements of SHAC membership, what have they looked at from a historical piece, and then the work for this year, and then recommendations that they have for the board related to this year's work, and then their areas of focus going into next year. So what is the School Health Advisory Council? So it's a requirement by law that every district has a SHAC. And the majority of the members must be parents who are not school district employees. The board shall appoint 5 members. And CSISD administrators also can nominate members to be as a part of the SHAC. And we are required to meet at least 4 times each year, and we have done that. And looking at our members, we have a total of 34 members, 10 of which are district employees, 21 are non-district employees, and we have 2 of our board members that are also on the committee. And these are typically approved by the board in our October board meetings, our typical practice. Historically, every year there's a different area of focus for the School Health Advisory Council. So you can see some of the larger topics that they have taken on over the last 3 or 4 years listed up here on the screen. And so just giving folks that aren't quite familiar with SHAC, the type of things that they look at whenever they look at things related to school health. And the SHAC did ask me to make sure that we gave a thank you to the district for listening to the concerns related to the middle school athletic trainers and the hiring of those positions last year. It's definitely been a very big benefit for the school health and safety of our student athletes at the middle school, and the SHAC very much appreciates that. So the work items for this year, I'm going to go through these individually, but you can see them listed here. We have to update the CSISD wellness plan every 3 years, and so this is our 3rd year, and we completed that work. We had to implement the changes of House Bill 1525 that are specific to the SHAC. We have new TEKS, and so we had some work to do around the TEKS, and then the recommendations, those to be developed to bring to you this evening. So with regard to the wellness plan, the plan in its full entirety is an 8-page plan, and it is actually FFA local. And so we will upload that to the SHAC's webpage after tonight's meeting because we're required to post that out there by law, and it'll be made available for everyone to review. But I'm going to go over a summary of what those goals are as a part of the report tonight. Again, we have to do this every 3 years. And we update this through the SHAC meeting process. And so we form a subcommittee, and members of the SHAC that are interested in reviewing and updating the plan, that's a part of the subcommittee that they join. And so this year they developed 6 different goals, and you can see those listed here. So 1 goal related to nutrition promotion, 1 goal related to nutrition education. There's 2 physical education goals, and then there's 2 school-based activity goals. So the nutrition promotional goal listed at the top, the goal is to share and promote health and nutrition choices for students and families. And the way that we want to push this information and make it available at all times is through our CSISD Child Nutrition website. And as we communicate information out, we'll be able to point families and parents back to that website where all the information is housed. The nutrition education goal is for the district to deliver information to our students of the adoption and maintenance of healthy eating behaviors. And we do this through our coordinated school health programs and also through our health TEKS with our students. And so these are the 2 avenues that we push the 2 nutrition goals that are out there. There's two physical education goals. So the first one listed at the top, to make appropriate make appropriate before and after school programs available for and encourage students to participate. And we have a variety of activities that are available for our students from elementary through high school, from Kids Club to various groups and student organizations. And so we put that information out there to make sure that they know what they can be a part of. So this is more than just athletic type of activities to get families and students involved. And then physical education goal number 2 is the district encourage the use of recreational facilities outside of the school days. And so we have district policy associated with the use of all of our athletic facilities. And so we make sure that we communicate that information out and work with groups that are interested in using our facilities in accordance with what our district policy spells out. With school-based activity goals, we have 2 of those. And so the first one is very much related to the work that we do in the cafeterias and to make sure that we allow sufficient time for our students to eat in a safe and clean environment. And the goal of our child nutrition program that's head up by Ms. Goodlett is to make sure that our students receive their food within the first 15 minutes of being in lunch so that they have plenty of time to eat their lunch and also be able to just be with their peers in that 30-minute time piece. And then cafeterias are required to maintain these hazardous analysis critical control point logs. Say that 3 times real fast, right? But I'm sure that they keep those updated on an annual basis. And the school-based activity goal number 2 is for the district to promote staff wellness activities and involvement at suitable and campus and district activities. And so helping get out there. Dr. Dixon does this through HR. We have different folks, they organize things for our staff. And so we're promoting the wellness and making sure people know what's available out there. Our HR department's done a good job the last few years to really push this out. So that concludes the goals that are a part of our CSISD wellness plan. Another piece of our work that we had to do this year, and I talked about this in greater detail in the workshop, is the changes related to House Bill 1525. And so you can see listed out here all the different items that we had to make sure that we implemented, and we did those from the Opens Meeting Act, which caused a change in how we were running our meetings. And then we talked about how we're going to be notifying parents of the TEKS changes and State Board of Education requirements around human sexuality instruction topics. And then we discussed in the workshop the opt-in process, and so that parents have that ability to choose what topics they want their child to receive instruction. It's an opt-in piece, and we'll talk more about that here in a few minutes. And then we had to do work around instructional materials access, and then the board adoption of those instructional materials, the recommendation piece. And so we worked on those. With regard to the TEKS, we've got our assistant athletic director, Megan Simak. She did a lot of work behind the scenes to give updates every time that we came together as a SHAC. She led a subcommittee to be able to process through what we need to do. And she's positioned now so that once you guys receive the recommendation next month and you make your vote, that we can begin the work that we need to do on getting our curriculum set and ready for that August 2022 implementation piece. And so she is working really hard on that, and we appreciate her work in that area, her efforts. The instructional materials adoption process. This is the first time in over 20 years that Health and PE has seen an update to their materials, so it's definitely needed. We are very, very glad to see that this has occurred. Just all of it at once with the legal changes and the adoption and all this, it's just been a lot to process through this year. But it's good. We're working through it. We did include our health and physical education teachers in this process. Our SHAC members were included in this process. We had the different subcommittees, and then we had presentations to the full SHAC membership where then they were able to then give some input into the conversation as well. And we also held our required public meetings where we had members from the public have opportunities to come in and give us feedback on the IMA piece. And so with all that work, the SHAC has come up with 2 recommendations for the board this evening. The first is for the board to receive the CSISD Wellness Plan update. And so I shared the full 8-page plan in transmittal last week. I just hit on the goals that they have there. And so the job of the board is to receive that. And if there's any questions, then we talk through that. But That's the first recommendation. And the second recommendation is specific to EHAA legal board policy. We talked about this in greater detail in the workshop, but I'm going to just touch on it briefly here. This policy that you see listed, this is currently what we have in practice, okay? And so items numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, those are what we do in our classrooms related to human sexuality instruction and how we work with our students currently. And abstinence is the emphasis, and you can see that clearly spelled out in each of those 4. Number 5, listed here, this is something that we do not currently do in College Station ISD because if you read, and I will read this one, it says teach contraception and condom use in terms of human use reality rates instead of theoretical laboratory rates if, and that's the word, if instruction on contraception and condoms is included in the curriculum. So currently in CSISD, our curriculum does not include materials related to contraception and condoms. And the recommendation from SHAC to the board is to adopt our health and PE instructional materials that include these items, the human sexuality instruction that contains contraception and condom use, and this is the legal term, but in terms of human reality rates instead of theoretical laboratory rates. And the SHAC membership feels that it's important for the board to do this, and this is an opt-in. And this is a big reminder that if, as a board, next month when you guys vote, you choose to adopt the materials with this number 5 piece listed in there, this is an opt-in for parents. And the opt-in process is if parents do not fill out the form, if the child forgets to bring the form, if we do not have explicit consent for any human sexuality instruction topics, the child will not receive instruction in that area. The law was created to give parents the control and the choice. And so I want to make sure that everybody's understanding that this is an opt-in, it is not an opt-out. Okay? And this is a reminder, the vote that you guys will have will be a part of the meeting next month. Your job right now is just to receive the information and process it and then be prepared whenever we come back in May. Okay? So I just have 2 items and then we can get to all the questions, okay? And the last piece is just on the SHAC plan for next year right now. What the SHAC membership is looking at is they really recognize we want to get more parents involved. How can we get more parents involved in the SHAC? And so one of the pieces they want to explore is can we partner with the campus PTO structures that's already in existence, and can we get more conversation, get more parent involvement through the campus PTO structure? And then they want to get more students involved into the SHAC as well. And so they have set that out as a part of our final meeting to say this is where we want to start with our work next year. Okay, questions, comments?
So regarding the update with that number 5 concerning
Yes, sir.
contraception, if we look at the materials, the curriculum that's presented, and so really it's a question about does the curricula align with what we want to get out of the instruction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and so it's again, as we talked about in the workshop, there's the curriculum, it has the materials that does not include the opt-in, and then it has the additional 3 chapters that includes the opt-in components of it. And so that's the piece specific to number 5 that you guys, which set you decide to want to adopt.
Just to follow up on that, am I correct remembering that the material set that was chosen by the group for the middle school is the one that was also, I don't think the word was endorsed by TA or by the Board of Education, right?
Yes, yeah, there were very few that the
Were
State Board of
available.
Education even made available for us, and so those are the only ones that we even looked at. Yes, and that's the ones we examined.
And I think just for the benefit of those not at workshop, it's critical to me, at least as a parent, that it's I guess, a la carte menu of the opting in.
Yes.
So if there are specific things that a parent or a family feels isn't appropriate or that could be taught better at home, the student won't be punished or held back for not participating in that.
Correct. If there's an item that, let's just say, for example, in week number 8, there's a topic to be covered that week and the parent says, I would rather take care of that at home, I'm not going to allow that to my child, then the teachers providing that instruction, the school will have a different place where those students go, and they will do a different assignment. And that is not a punishment. It's not it's just a different assignment that's not related to those topics. And we handle this with other areas as well, whenever we have topics that parents choose their child to not be a part of.
And I guess we're tagging this because we're
Yeah, 'cause
both
you're on the
on
committees.
track, right? We're both on
Absolutely.
the committee. But I think another important point, what I asked earlier, because I wasn't, that everything that would be on that list is something. It's not a list that we're coming up with. This is coming from the state. This is coming
Absolutely.
from the TEKS, right?
Yep.
This is the approved TEKS. Again, hadn't been updated in 20 years, but now it's the new TEKS.
That's correct. If you look at the TEKS, they are very explicit. They all have the human sexuality instruction at the very beginning of each one of those TEKS. So that's what we communicate to parents so that they know this is what's to be taught, and then they have the choice.
They can decide. I don't have any other questions, but I do want to take the moment just as the chance to recognize and thank the SHAC. Again,
Absolutely.
that's all of our committees. I mean, we have parents that do show up. These are evening meetings, and we definitely have other community members. And as always, lots of our, other staff who puts in the extra hours to come in the evenings. And, there really are some folks in there, not only who, lots of them care about health, but lots of health knowledge in that room as well, right? We've got people who are some of our health experts throughout the community from Texas A&M and throughout our district, volunteering their time to come to those meetings. So those of you, I know I saw at least a couple here, I know, so thank you very much for serving on SHAC. I also, though, very much support the recommendations of, trying to get more parents coming to those meetings, and also I love the student participation as well. So I like that.
You said everything I was going to say. So thank you. And then also, I love the student voice. I love that aspect, always. So thank you, SHAC.
Thank you, Mr. Mann. That will bring us to item I1. Consider discussion and possible action authorizing the superintendent to enter into interlocal agreements with TASB Benefits Cooperative and the Texas Municipal League for employee health plans beginning in the 2022-23 plan year. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak, and board members. With more details on this agenda item is our Chief Administrative Officer, Ms. Molly Perry.
All right, good evening. Thank you, Mr. Martindale, Mr. Horak, members of the board. As shared in a detailed report during the workshop session this evening, we are bringing forth a recommendation after a thorough RFP process for the Texas Municipal League and TASB Health as we move into the 22-23 health plan year for our employees. As you all may recall, the Senate Bill 1444 that was part of the last legislative session allows districts who are part of TRS Active Care to opt out of that system and seek alternative health care plans. We did make that decision by the deadline under statute of December 31st and went through an RFP process as described earlier in February and March. After evaluating those options, the TASB Health and Texas Municipal League plans are very much comparable to the plan composition that we have in existence now in both the options as well as the pricing compared to current year plans. As we discussed earlier, the TRS Active Care plans have shown significant increases in recent years. In the existing plan year, we saw an 8% average increase, and we anticipate that that will continue. We're very excited to offer a stable option for our employees in the coming plan year. And with this recommendation, we would ask for approval to authorize the superintendent of schools to engage in those final negotiations with TASB Benefits Cooperative and the Texas Municipal League for those employee plans beginning in the 22-23 school year.
I'd move to authorize the superintendent of schools to engage in the final negotiations with the TASB Benefits Cooperative and the Texas Municipal League for employee health plans for CSISD beginning in the 2022-2023 school year.
Second.
Plan year.
Whoa.
I'm glad you read that.
All right, I'm going to say motion by Mr. Ben, and I'm going to say second by Mr. Payne. Is there any discussion or any questions? All right, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
I do, Mr. Horak, before we move on, I just want to thank Ms. Perry, Ms. Strauss, and Dr. Dixon. A significant amount of work went into this process, so this will benefit our district and all of our employees. So just wanted to thank them for their time and effort.
Yes, sir. Item J1, consider approval of the award of IFB 22-019 for the purchase and installation of kitchen serving lines at AMCMS from Mission Restaurant Supply in the amount of $222,811 using 2021 bond funds and child nutrition funds. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak and board members. With more details on this requested purchase is our CFO, Ms. Amy Dross.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale, members of the board. So tonight, I'm bringing forth some more bond monies to spend. So throughout the 2021 bond committee, serving lines at AMCMS was one of the projects that was brought forward as a priority, and the bond committee recommended that to move forward whenever you approved that bond to go before the voters. So it's time now to put that out there. Hopefully we'll get the work done this summer. But Ms. Goodlett, Child Nutrition Director, with the help of a food service consultant that actually specializes in K through 12, helped design the kitchen serving lines and put the specifications together. And then they put it out for an invitation for bid. Actually had 4 proposers with this one, and with the help of the purchasing department, they analyzed those bids and are making a recommendation for the best value and the low proposer to Mission Restaurant Supply. Now, if approved tonight, then they would also be combining child nutrition funds along with this to make the total purchase. They will have to apply with the Texas Department of Agriculture. We've had good success in utilizing child nutrition funds for equipment such as this, but they do have to have prior approval. So will also be submitted there. So with a combination of both of those funds, the total would be $222,811. Of which would be using $95,000 of 2021 bond funds, and the balance would be child nutrition.
I move to approve as presented.
I have a motion by Ms. Nolan. I have a second by Mr. Hall. Any discussion? None? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much.
And that will bring us to item K1. Consider award of a contract for the renovation of 7 restrooms at AMCHS to Spall Glass Construction Corporation utilizing by board job order contract number 660-21 in the amount of $475K using 2021 bond funds. Mr. Martindale.
Thank you, Mr. Horak and board members. With additional details on this contract for the renovation at A&M Consolidated is our Executive Director of Facilities, Mr. John Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Martindale, Mr. Horak, members of the board. To give you just a little bit of background of this, I always like to say thank you to the College Station ISD voters for passing the bond package back in November 21. In this case, for $78.125 million to get us off and running on some renovation projects across the school district. And one of the projects that's been identified as a significant need is renovations to A&M Consolidated High School. So what we're starting off with is a smaller one, just enough to get something going this summer. For our first 7 restroom areas within the main campus building, which I think will probably get us a roar of approval from the students over there on the campus. But the scope of this really includes a full replacement of tile, toilet partitions, all plumbing fixtures, paint, mirrors, doors, hand dryers, et cetera, for about 13 restrooms over there. There are 6 boy-girl banks of them, sets of them, plus one more in the principal's office area. So we're not doing light fixtures yet. We're going to do that probably next summer to catch all those at once. But basically, it's going to be a complete renovation of all of these restrooms, which is about half of them in the building. We're still going to be doing some summer school activities over there, so we're leaving enough of them operational that they can still function for that. VLK Architects worked with us to prepare design documents and specifications. We had some coordination meetings with our principal, Gwen Elder, Amy Drozd, and Executive Director of Secondary Education, Tiffany Parkerson, joined myself and Renee Ramirez, and we had some good meetings to get our documents put together. This project is being processed as a job order contract type project. So proposals were solicited from 2 of our approved purchasing cooperative members, specifically Spa Glass Construction and Aggieland Construction. Proposals were received on Thursday, April 7th, 2022, for our specified scope of work as per our design documents. And the lowest bid came in from Spa Glass Construction Corporation in the amount of $475,000. We've also included Aggieland Construction's proposal for $554,000. And we did comb through those very carefully to make sure we had a full scope of work for both of those. So we were comparing apples to apples on those. And those proposals are attached for your reference. This work would be scheduled for the summer of 2022 so that everything would be fully operational again by the start of school this August. So with all that said, it's recommended that the College Station Independent School District Board of Trustees consider approval of an award of A&M Consolidated High School restroom renovations to Spa Glass Construction Corporation in the amount of $475,000 using 2021 bond funds. And with that, I'd love to answer any questions you might have.
I move to approve as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hall, a second by Ms. Nolan. Any discussion, comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Hall. That will bring us to item L, executive session. We have 2 items. L1, pursuant to the Texas Government Code sections 551.071 and 551.0821 and 551.129, deliberation of a matter regarding a public school student where personally identifiable information about the student will necessarily be revealed by the deliberation and consultation with the school attorney concerning pending litigation and possible settlement of a matter styled Student versus College Station ISD, TEA docket number 156-SE-0222. I'll just stop there. Item L2, the board will meet in executive session to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, including superintendent of schools. Executive session deliberations will be held pursuant to the personal matters closed meeting exception to the Texas Open Meetings Act as set forth in section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. We will see y'all later this evening. All right, I'm going to bring us back into open session. Any discussion? I move to item M1? M1 on the agenda.
I move to accept the recommendation of the superintendent of schools and the school district's attorney to direct the superintendent and the school district attorney to proceed as discussed in closed session.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Payne. We have a second by Mr. Hall. All in favor say, any discussion? No? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. And we are adjourned.